People love to build walls. Not just literal walls, though history is full of those. Walls around temples, walls around cities, walls around nations. But we also build invisible walls. Walls made of rules and rituals, of status and belonging, of who's in and who's out. And the reason we build them is always the same, to protect what's inside. We don't want truth to be lost, so we lock it down. We don't want holiness to be compromised, so we put up fences. We don't want our faith to be misunderstood, so we control access. And at first it makes sense. It even feels righteous. After all, wasn't the law given to set Israel apart? Wasn't the temple built with barriers between the holy and the common? Isn't order necessary for survival? But here's the problem. Anything sealed is also trapped. A well-guarded truth is a truth that cannot move. A carefully preserved law is a law that cannot breathe. And if something cannot move, if it cannot breathe, it cannot live. That is what Jesus walked into. A world where faith had been sealed. A world where the law, which had been meant to bring life, had become a system of control. A world where the temple, which had been meant to welcome the nations, had become a marketplace of exclusion. A world where Rome enforced order by locking the whole world into submission. Everywhere Jesus went, he found gates where there were supposed to be rivers. So he did what he always does. He broke the seal, not by rejecting the law, but by reminding them why it was given in the first place. Not by destroying the temple, but by driving out the corruption that had taken root inside it. Not by leading a revolt against Rome, but by exposing the weakness of their so-called peace. He healed on the Sabbath, not because the Sabbath didn't matter, but because a law that keeps a man from being healed is not a law that honors God. He flipped the tables in the temple, not because he rejected worship, but because worship was never meant to be something people had to buy their way into. He sat at tables with sinners and outcasts, not because holiness doesn't matter, but because holiness that isolates itself from the broken is not holiness at all. And the systems couldn't take it, because systems don't mind religion. They don't mind rituals and sacrifices. They don't even mind commandments. What they cannot tolerate, what they will always fight against, is freedom. And so they did what sealed systems always do. They sealed him in a tomb. They thought they had won. The temple authorities had restored order. The Pharisees had defended the law. Rome had put down another rebel. The system had held. But here is the truth they never saw coming. The gospel cannot be sealed, because the stone rolled away. The tomb broke open. The seal was shattered. And when Jesus walked out, he did not destroy the law. He fulfilled it. He did not burn down the temple. He became it. He did not overthrow Rome. He exposed their power as nothing but dust. And now, 2,000 years later, we stand here, with the same choice before us. Because the truth is, we are still sealing things up. Churches turn faith into a gated community. Doctrine becomes a weapon to separate the insiders from the outsiders. Grace is rationed out, not freely given. And why? Because we are afraid. Afraid that if we let the gospel flow freely, if we open the gates instead of guarding them, everything will fall apart. Afraid that if we break the seal, the whole structure will come crumbling down. And Jesus stands in our midst, turning over our tables, calling out our empty rituals, throwing open our gates, and he asks, what good is a gospel that has to be locked away? The systems of this world ask, can there be equilibrium in the flood? The prophets answer, break the dam. The cross answers, grace will hold the pieces together. The Spirit still says, open the scroll. Because the seal was always meant to be broken. The river is flowing, and Christ is still walking on it.